Hello. I think the mic is working. Question is everything else working? Hopefully it is. YouTube stream is now working as well, by the looks of it. Let's try and get some viewers in. See if I can actually find my own stream. That would be good. We have indeed got my own stream here. Smooth moves. Right then. Let's post this around a bit. Right, I've put it in the Skype chat, and I've also put it in the Telegram chat as well. So, we shall begin the stream. There is a whopping one person in. I have got my Ryzen 5 CPU now. I also got my water block and the AMD mounts for my water block. Now, anyone not in the Telegram chat that I'm in, or the Skype chat, will not know, but I've bought a EK Supremacy Evo water block from Overclockers UK from the grade B section for £25, and I ordered the AMD mounts for 29p and the AM4 mounts for I think £4, and they've come literally just today, along with this, which is my Ryzen 5 1500X. You can see there, or not, that's the 1500X. I've already got the 1500X out the box, as you can see there. So I've got the 1800X in the system at the moment. I'll give you a quick look at the water cooling setup that I'm using. This is my usual water cooling setup. So we have the Asus X370 or Prime X370 Pro, which now is on the 604 BIOS, I think. And you can see I've got the EK water block on with the AM4 mounting hardware and the correct jet and little plate thing inside for the AMD that they recommend. We have got a 1080 radiator here with just 8 fans on it, not the full 9, but this one is a 38mm thick fan, so we don't necessarily need all 9 fans. So yeah, that is pretty much an overview of that. So what I plan to do is, I have already tested the 1800X on the air cooling, and unfortunately it doesn't go much faster on the water cooling than it will on the air cooling. I can just use more voltage basically, which doesn't really make it any faster. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the temperatures that the Ryzen CPU is getting underwater. Now bear in mind this is an X model, so it will be 20 degrees hotter than what it, no, 20 degrees colder than what it says in the monitoring software. So I'm going to turn it on, hopefully, if I press the right button. Came for the memes. Well, yep, the memes should be good. Well, unfortunately, I have this 1800 radiator here, and the rest of my fans are currently on that, and I only have, I think, more 140s, unfortunately, and there's a 120 on there as well, so I don't have enough fans. 1600, yeah, the 1600 is a good choice of CPU. I have to say it's probably the best choice for price to performance wise. It's a very good deal at the price it's at. What is it, £220 or something? So, Obscure Paradox's best friend has told me that Hardware Info 64 actually measures the temps on Ryzen, because Hardware Monitor doesn't on my system anyway. So you can see the CPU, or well, actually you can't see anything because you're too far away, and the exposure's wrong. So I've just got the CPU at stock at the moment because I've just reflashed to this new BIOS. So I'll bring you in for a closer look here. So the CPU is at stock, as you can see. It's supposed to be 0.8 volts. It's just all over the place because CPU's head's a bit derpy. So where's the temperature on here? There it is. So this is the temperature. That's the temperature T-die. I don't know what that is, but this is the main temperature up here that you want to be focusing on. Now obviously the CPU is 20 degrees colder than this, so it's currently idling at 21 degrees. That's minimum, maximum, average. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to run Cinebench R15 quickly. You can see it gets to 3.7 gigahertz by itself. This is at stock. Core voltage is probably wrong, so I'd ignore that on CPU's head there. But you can see up here we're getting about 70-ish degrees. So yeah, that if you minus 20 off that, then that is the actual maximum temperature that we got. And you can see here we got 1615, which is pretty slow. This is kind of trippy watching OBS and moving the camera at the same time. So that's all the way down here, the stock speed. So I'll just, oh, and this is with the stock memory timings, by the way, which is the 21, 33, 15, 15, 36, 1T. So what I'll do is I'll whack it up to like 4 gigahertz, 1.4 volts, so you can see the temperatures at that, and then I'll whack it up to 4.1 gigahertz on 1.475 volts. I'll just put you back on the tripod over here. I apologise for anyone who gets seasick or travel sick or whatever other kind of sick you can get from movement. I suppose you could get VR sick if you're watching this in VR somehow. I also need to turn the RGB LEDs off, because you actually get 100 megahertz faster if you turn the RGB off. It's a true story, is that? Now we have yep, your best friend Lewis. Hey, my face hasn't even been on the screen once. I don't think in a live stream anyway. Oh, the other thing is wait a second, I'll have a drink. Yeah, the other thing is this this board has decided it doesn't like restarting anymore, so I have to actually turn it off. Maybe there, that might work, and then turn it back on at the power supply, because apparently it's decided to ignore the switches. Yeah, we have got another Ryzen. For anyone who has just joined, I have received this Ryzen 5 1500X today. If you can see the writing on it. But we currently got the 1700X in. Camera's not enjoying life. Anyway, we've currently got the 1700X in. If we can get into the damn BIOS, and we have had another BIOS update for anyone who doesn't know. We've gone from 510 or 511 to 515 since the last stream, and then 604. So I'm just going to show you the temperatures on the water cooling at various different voltages. Oh, wait a second. So we're going to go to 4 gigahertz. You can't really see that on the actual screen, but whatever. And then on the memory timings, 12, 12, 12, 26. Yep, that works. And this is new. I don't know what a Pro CODT is. That is a new setting that I haven't seen before. Interesting. Right, let's see at the VRM settings. We'll just leave those on auto. Guess we're noobs. Right, 1.4 volts, and I've set the CPU ratio to 44. SoC voltage I usually set to a manual voltage of 1.13, whatever it is, 375-ish. RAM voltage 1.4 volts, and it'll come up in a nice pink colour, which I'm pretty sure is Obscure Paradox's favourite colour. He said he was here for the memes, so he's going to get them. Now, in these later BIOSes, which might not have been in the BIOSes before, I can't actually remember, we have core disabling features and SMT disabling features. Now on the 515 BIOS, the SMT disabling feature also disabled 4 of the cores as well, which was quite annoying and random, so we'll not do that yet. Everything else we just leave on auto, apart from the fan for the CPU, which I want to disable the RPM controller thing for, because I like my fans to run at full speed all the time. That is actually supposed to be on the VRM. You can't see it, but there's a fan here that's plugged into the CPU header, because Asus boards get a bit upset if you don't have a fan plugged into the CPU header. So I think that is about it. Yep, that is it for this setting, so hopefully it'll boot up. Um, 1080p. If you're literally just playing games, then the 1500X should be perfectly fine. And yeah, I'd go for the 1500X. Actually, you could go for the 1400 as well. They probably overclock about the same on ambient cooling. The main reason I have got the top 1800X and the 1500X models opposed to the 1700 and the 1400 is because I will be putting these CPUs under liquid nitrogen and single stage phase cooling. So I wanted to get the best of the best, the top bin CPUs. So it is managing to boot into Windows, which is always a bonus. So again, I'm just going to do a quick run of the Cinebench here. There's really no point in trying to beat my previous score at 4.1 gigahertz, because unfortunately Ryzen doesn't really scale with water cooling. It scales with liquid nitrogen cooling, but not really with the water cooling. You have to go up still very high voltages over 1.5. So I'll bring you in a bit closer again. Right, there's a whopping 9 people watching. So I'll just quickly go over the setup again. So we've got the Asus X370 Pro, Prime, whatever it is. Fairly sort of low end X370 board. It's not a crosshair or anything. We've got a nice EK water block, which just came today or the other day, but I only got the AMD mounts today. And we have actually got some Team Group Extreme memory. This is with no heat spreaders on the actual sides that the memory chips are on, because it wouldn't fit under my heatsink. These memory sticks only do 2400 on the Ryzen platform, even though they're rated at 3866, because they are 2x4 gigs of Samsung E die. I have got some B die on order, but obviously it hasn't arrived yet. It'll be here sometime next week, so hopefully we'll see faster memory speeds. Now it's set to 1.4 volts in the BIOS, so there's clearly a bit of V-drooping going on, and you can see we're set to the 40 multiplier and the very annoying 99.8 base clock, which Ryzen sets itself. So we're looking at the CPU temperatures somewhere up here. There you go. So that is the maximum, that's the minimum, that's the average, which no one cares about, and that's current. If you look up there, there we go. So this is 20 degrees less than it is, because this is an X model, so it reads 20 degrees higher than it is. Obviously this CPU is underwater, so it isn't actually at 73 degrees Celsius. So there you go, it got 1812 for anyone who is interested, and that is at just a 4 gigahertz. You can see the score just down there. My top score at 4 gigahertz is actually 1830, which is pretty good, but obviously this is just running with a couple of programs open here and an NVIDIA driver on it. If I run it again, I might actually get a higher score. You can see it's pretty quick, it's not too slow. Definitely a bit faster than a Core 2 Duo or a Pentium. We'll see later how the 1500X compares to an i3, because that'll be funny. There you go, 1816, a little bit more. Still 73 as the maximum temperature, although that's minus 20 degrees, so it's actually running at 53 degrees. Now let's have a look at the voltage. So the voltage is actually quite sensible on this BIOS. On previous BIOSes it has been jumping all the way up to 1.475 when set to 1.4 in the BIOS. That one's actually still going up to 1.428, I just saw there. So that isn't brilliant, but whatever. So now we're going to go up to about 1.5-ish volts, just below 1.5 volts. so you can see the temperature at that. So I'll put the thing back on the tripod again. If it will go on. It actually helps if you screw this screw the right way on the bottom of it, apparently. So yeah, we'll restart again, or not restart, because this board doesn't like restarting anymore. It's just decided it's actually going to restart this time. I doubt it. I don't have much hope. Right then. Hello, Flying Irishman. Yeah, it can run Minesweeper. Good effort submitting your first Scott hardware bot. 1220, that is actually quite, well, it's only at 4 GHz, so it's quite a low clock speed, but yeah, it is kind of slow for a 6-core. So we will whack this up to 4.1-ish gigahertz, and we will whack the voltage up to 1.4. I think we'll just go for 1.5 because we've got a water block on and we want to test everything to the limit, obviously. Now, you wouldn't run this voltage 24/7 because that would be silly, but 1.45 volts is perfectly fine on Ryzen to run underwater for like a 24/7 voltage, and it's not restarting again, so I'll just help it. Asus Hero, make sure you update the BIOS if you have an Asus Hero. It has got a lot of updates and it's improved a lot since it's come out. So yeah, you should be okay as long as you update the BIOS. It's like one of the first things you do, even before you get your Windows installed. Just I'm gonna OC the Ryzen 5 literally after a couple of Cinebench runs with this at 4.1 just now. So probably in the next 10 minutes we will be starting to run the Ryzen 5. So I think I've managed to get the stream open twice, so I hope the audio should be okay though, because no one's actually complained. Although I did have the stream running twice in the background, so there might have been some echo, but I think the system sounds are off anyway. Well, right. So we should be at 4.1 gigahertz. When CPU-Z loads, yep, 4.091 because it's stupid. So again, I'll bring you in and make you VR6, C6, whatever. This is the last time we'll be running the 1700X by itself with the 2D. So there you go, we're at basically 1.5 volts. Probably 1.5 volts once it gets under load, idling at nearly 50 degrees Celsius, which is actually 30 degrees Celsius if you remember, and we'll just run the Cinebench a couple of times here. Now you can see it's a bit faster. We are getting up to 1.51 volts down here. So it's nearly done. So 1854, my top score is 1872. So obviously we're not quite beating that, but obviously we've got a couple of tabs open here. So maximum temperature 81 degrees. It might go a little bit higher on this run. Yeah, 81.3 degrees. So that's not really too bad. That is basically 60 degrees Celsius actual temperature on the CPU, because we've got that stupid 20 degree offset. Now you can see the power in this thing as well. The hardware info 64. So apparently it's used 175 watts. I don't know how accurate this is, but it seems fairly reasonable to think 1.5 volts. It's pulling about 175 watts. If you were to run a 5960X from Intel at this, it'd be pulling like probably nearing on double that, I reckon, at least 250, 300 watts. And your temperatures will probably be actually 80 degrees. So yeah, these Ryzen chips are pretty power efficient, and they score really, really well considering how slow my memory is, because you can see I'm only at 2400, 12, 12, 12, 26 with a 1T down there, and we're on the 604 BIOS, which literally came out a couple of days ago. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to swap the R7 1800X, I got it right eventually, and we're going to put the 1500X in. So hello Greg the Dude. So I'll just have a look in the chat, see what people have been saying. Right then, so I'll turn this off and we will switch out the CPU. Well, I'll actually have to reset the BIOS to the default settings first. I think that will be sensible. So I'll just reset this. Move this fan out of the way as well. Put it down there. See, what I do is I put it against this box and it sucks itself to the box, which is kind of useful. You can see the heat sinks on the Asus board. They look quite nice actually. They're probably the only bit of the board that look nice. Oh, it's actually managing to get into the BIOS for once. Let's see if you can see that. You see how slow it is to get into the BIOS and everything. It's just ridiculous. So I'm just going to load the optimize defaults and save and reset, so that when I put the 1500X in, it's not booting up at 1.5 volts on the first time. It would probably be okay, and it'd probably say new CPU installed or whatever, then it needs to reset. But I'd rather not have some weird glitch where it put 1.8 volts through the CPU and blew it up the first time I put it in the board. So yeah, I'll give you a bit of a close-up of the CPU here. There you go, 1500X. I've already stuck the sticker on my test bench, so that is just out of shot actually. Down there, can you see at the bottom? Just there, I've got a Ryzen 7 sticker there, a couple of FX stickers and a nice Ryzen 5 sticker. So yeah, I might as well wait for it to boot into Windows and shut it down from there now. Right. So then, bring you in a little bit closer here. Right, everything should go off, but it probably won't, so I'll just turn it off at the power supply. that seems to be the only way to get this board to comply with actually turning off. Now my pump is a pond pump, so it's plugged into a separate plug, so the pump is still going to be going all of the time that I am doing this. I'm literally just going to take the CPU block off and put it on the new CPU. So these screws are a bit creaky for some reason. I'm just giving the camera a hug, and they're on these springs. Now this water block, I've actually got 2 water blocks already, for those people who don't know, on my dual Xeon board, and they're Phobia UC2 LTs, and apparently they're not going to make Ryzen mounts for those, which is quite sad. I've emailed them about getting some AM4 mounts, and they said Intel only on those. So I had to get a new water block. This came up 25 quid. Why not? So it's well stuck on, I have to say. I must have done a good job with the thermal paste, which is always nice. It's good to see there's no water that's leaked out. That was the kind of spread I had. Possibly not the best spread ever, but it'll do. I'm just going to hook the water block over the radiator because the water is still going around inside of it. So now you might be wondering what all the grey stuff is around the CPU. For anyone who isn't familiar with sub-zero overclocking, that is basically for phase cooling, so that water doesn't get on the board. I've just left it on there. I haven't actually put this under phase yet, but I have just left it on because I did put it on planning to do phase, and then new BIOSes keep coming out every day, so it's kind of pointless. I've also ordered some BDI memory from Romania in the hope that it'll sort of do like better clocks. And there we go, there's the 1800X. So I will have to dig it out of there. So I didn't actually think this through very well, did I? Now let me just adjust the tripod for a slightly better position. Hopefully it should peel off okay. So this is basically so that water doesn't get on the board when I'm doing the phase cooling, and it's all come off in one piece, which is kind of useful. Well, nearly all of it anyway. There's just a bit on this, a bit down here, and above the CPU up there. Now the only thing you have to watch for with this kind of sort of pin on the CPU style of socket is that when you're pulling the cooler off, if you pull straight up on the cooler, you can pull the CPU out the socket, which is kind of annoying with still attached to the cooler. But unfortunately with a water block, because the tolerances are so good on it, you don't really have much choice, to be honest. And now I'm just trying to get this last bit off here, which is quite well stuck on, I have to say, which is kind of annoying. There we go. It's coming off now. So I do not want any of that putty stuff to get in the socket. This is actually artist's eraser if anyone wanted to know what the proper name is for it. I just got it off eBay. So let's have a look. A little bit on the lever still. There we go. I can actually use this to clean the top of the CPU as well, I think. Maybe not. Get her off. Using paper towel, definitely. So we'll get the Ryzen 5 out of its little clamshelly box thing. There it is again. Very shiny. Now what would be funny if this is DOA. Well, actually that wouldn't be very funny at all. So it just clicks back and we'll take the CPU out. It has actually squished onto the side of some of the pins here, so I'll have to be a bit careful. I don't know if you can see. Oh no, come on, focus please. So I don't know if you can see along this edge here, but there is a bit of the putty stuff sort of trying to get into the pins. So I'll just try and take that out very carefully off camera so I can see what I'm actually doing. There we go, I've got all of that now. So I'll just plop that down there for a minute and we'll put the Ryzen 5 in. Now the pins on these are smaller than they are on the FX chips, so you do have to be very careful. And which way round does it go in? It's that way around. 0 insertion force required. Hopefully. There we go, it is in. I think. Yep, looks like it's in. Right, I'm actually just going to take it out again a second as well, because I thought there was a bit of stuff on there, but there isn't. So they're actually all good. And please, there we go. Right. Just stick the 1800X in this clamshell to keep dem pins safe. There we go. There's the 1800X now that it's safe and sound. Camera focus, thank you. Right, so we've got the 1500 in there. So just so we didn't see we didn't put like a 1600X in there or something crazy. It's 1500X, 4 cores. It's literally half of the half of an 1800X. It will be very interesting to see how it performs compared to like a 7700K. That's brilliant as well. Right. So, thermal paste, OCUK grade B EK water block, did come with a little bit of the Thermal Grizzly thermal paste. I don't know whether this is Hydronaut or Conductonaut or Aeronaut or what on earth it is, but it's thermal paste and it was free, so I'm not going to complain. I usually use the this big tube of PK3, but I was using the Thermal Grizzly on the 1800X just now, so we will use the Thermal Grizzly again on this CPU here, and I think that is about it for this tube. Whoops, I've dropped it. That's not going well. At least it hasn't sprayed out everywhere. Now, where did I put the water block? Ah, yeah, it's over there. So I do need to clean the water block as well. That always helps. You can see the water block is very shiny. in the bottom. Now obviously you can't see that because I'm not showing it on the camera. There we go, shiny. Now I've just rubbed horrible thermal paste all over it, it'll never be the same again. Now sad you can see all the smudge marks I've left on it there, but to be honest I don't really care because thermal paste is just thermal paste at the end of the day, isn't it? So it doesn't really matter. So that is going on there like that. Put these little springs on. I tend to do the opposite corners first, just to get it going, and then go from there. So these little cap things, I have to say they do look quite nice compared to the bog standard like thumb screw things that I use on my LN2 bottom phase cooler, which you can just see over there. But generally if something looks nice it's slow, so that's why my test bench looks so nice and why I've got 4 different types of fan on my radiator. This one's not coming on, there we go. So just screw those down a bit. Don't need to be hugely tight. They are a bit creaky like, but should be okay. Right then, let's fire it up, see if it can actually turn on. Helps if you turn the power supply on as well. So I'll get the camera back out again. It's nice, you can see all the boxes under my desk. It's a bit better. Just moving back a little bit more. There we go, we can see everything now. The RGB lights are on. And it's not coming on with the power button, which is interesting to say the least. Probably forgotten to do something stupid. Let's have a read of the comments. Greg the dude got banned from Hardware Bot. Oh dear. See ya, Lewis. Have fun. The radiator is a water cool something or other. Now it isn't turning on, so I will make it turn on. That is interesting, it isn't turning on at all, even with me shorting out the power button. So that is definitely a new one. It seems kind of dead for some reason. Probably because I'm pressing the wrong pins. How interesting. Does not seem to turn on at all for some strange reason. Yeah, you did see my face now. Indeed. Just move the tripod so I can get around it. Oh, tripod's falling over. There we go. Not 100% sure what's going on here. It is acting dead. Power button's not doing anything. Power supply is off. Yet the RGB lights, as you can see just down here, are working for some strange reason. There we go, they've gone off now. Oh odd. What we'll do is we'll take the water block off again. Give it a wiggle around and put it back on. There's a small possibility that it was on a little bit too tight for it, so I've not screwed it down quite as much this time. Yet it is not doing anything. How odd. Power button does not exist. Power supply is not tripped at all. So I'll just wait for those RGB lights to turn off, and we will take the CPU out and then put it back in again. Reseat it. Yeah, this motherboard is rubbish. Would not recommend. I've actually had two of these. First one bricked itself completely on the 502 BIOS or the 504 BIOS, which was the ones that were after release, the launch BIOSes. The 510, or was it 511? 511, 515, ran them on that, not on live stream, but they were perfectly fine. Both of those. I've been doing a bit of 3D benching with those BIOSes with a HD 7990 underwater and a HD 5970 as well. Was working perfectly fine then. I had my Fantex air cooler on, which is this black one here with 340mm fans, and that was cooling quite well actually. So then today I've just got the water block and updated to this new 604 BIOS, and it's not playing ball for some reason. I have no idea why it won't turn on right now. It's very odd. Tighten those up a little bit more. It's literally like there's like I'm not pressing the on button at all for some reason. And even if I short out the pins on the board, there's just no reaction on spark or anything. So yeah, these lights are taking quite a while to turn off. And the power supply is actually off. This is the problem with having a 1300 watt power supply. The caps in there are pretty massive, and they can hold a hell of a lot of energy. enjoyable. So we'll try and get this off. Now that is very, very well stuck on, I have to say. There we go. Literally lifting the motherboard up there. So the spread isn't very good at all, if I'm perfectly honest, but I have no idea why the CPU is not working. So I will just plop it there for a second, pins down, living on the edge. I'll just get a torch, have a look in the socket. Looks perfectly fine. Can't see anything wrong with it. I'll just quickly plop the 1700X back in there. I don't see why this 1500X shouldn't work, really. I mean, I don't even know if it's on the motherboard support list, to be honest. But we definitely had that retention lever down, so I don't think it was that. So we have a CPU in, it's just not turning on for some reason. So we'll just reuse that thermal paste for a minute. I'm sure it'll be perfectly fine, just for a spot of testing. There's a couple of turns. If you put the actual springs on as well. Right, we shall try again. So this is going to be a very boring stream if the CPU doesn't work, isn't it? Right, off we go again. Dead as a flat-footed dodo. Now, am I being stupid here, or what? Something not plugged in. Well, this is pretty crazy, but the motherboard will not turn on at all. Brilliant. Well, it was having trouble restarting earlier, and it has only just started doing that, so I wonder if this new 604 BIOS is not as good as it says on the tin. Because it's seeming pretty brick-like right now, and everything, as far as I can tell, is plugged in fine. So, how odd. Come on, LEDs, stop flashing. Oh, someone was asking about the radiator earlier. It's a water-cool MORA 360 LT, and it's a 1080 radiator, which means it's 360 by 360, so it's like having three 360 sized radiators. Can take up to 9 fans. I've also got an 1800 as well, which is 5 360mm radiator size, which takes 15 fans. I have no idea for the games what you need at all. I would, out of an i5 or a 1600X, I'd say you'd have to be pretty insane to buy an i5. 4-core with no hyper-threading or SMT at this point is pretty much like buying a Pentium was back in 2014 when the G3258 came out. So yeah, I think you'll find in a couple of years, as games get more multi-threaded with all these cheaper multi-threaded CPUs coming out, that most of the games will turn towards sort of probably up to 8 cores, maybe more. On the majority of titles, they'll be using a lot more CPU power. So again, that feels to me like a pretty good mount. It's well stuck on there. Definitely not badly stuck on. So yeah, I don't know what to do really. I'll try plugging that back in. I don't think anything's shorting out on the board. There shouldn't be any water on it or anything from the water block because it wasn't leaking. So I tested that quite a lot earlier. So yeah, the board seems perfectly fine. I mean, the only thing I've done is take this putty off, and that is about it. So I wonder if it's broken one of the connections. Unless it's broken one of the connections on the board when I've pulled the putty off, which is sometimes possible. So I'll bring you in for a closer inspection, see if anyone can see anything on the webcam. So there we go. Can anyone see if anything has been pulled off on this board, maybe? Oh, epilepsy mode. Wait a second. There we go. Now there are a lot of little pads where resistors potentially could have been, so I hope they were just pads that didn't have components on originally, because there's a lot of them that don't now. So I don't know if you can see, maybe if I point it that way you can see best, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just going to have a look in my putty and see if there's any small electrical components in here. Doesn't look like it, to be fair. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get a close-up picture of the Asus board CPU socket area. So I don't know if you can see sort of, wait a sec, let me try and poke it there. That area there's a lot of pads with parts missing, and also over there, that area there's a lot of pads with parts missing. Now I'm not sure if they were missing before or whether they've just gone missing now. So I am going to have a look into that. So we'll try and find a nice high res image of the board. Size larger than 20 megapixels. See if we can get a really high res image of it. It's going to be a very boring stream if I've managed to kill the board already. No, too hard to tell. Yeah, I can't move the mic closer, it's just on my desk. I might be able to turn it up though. Audio. Mic boost. Is that any louder? I don't know. Oh, I suppose I need to press apply for it to actually work. Is that any louder now? Yeah, that is a bit louder. Yeah, RAM speed can have a big effect on Ryzen. So is that better for the person who was saying the mic was quiet? It does seem to be boosting it a lot. Very good. Good. Okay. So I'm just looking at a high-res picture of the board now, and there are actually a lot of components missing from the factory. So I don't think I've ripped anything off, which is good. So why won't it turn on? That is the real question, isn't it? Very strange issue to have. This might be a failed stream. Unless I'm being stupid. I can't see the power supply being the issue. So, not 100% sure what's up. I like how the camera has gone completely derpy with the light. It's just not adjusting for any kind of exposure at all now. So that's good. Come on. Well, apparently it's stuck, so that's always fun. Suppose the only thing to do is just stick the air cooler on the top and hope for the best, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the air cooler, plonk it on top, push it down with my hand, if it will fit between these water cooling mounts. Ah, yes it does. How convenient. Stick the fan in. And it seems dead. That is great. No power button whatsoever. So that is brick number 2. So I'll probably be sending this off to Overclockers UK and get another one. That's good, isn't it? Power button's doing nothing. Genius. Nothing whatsoever. So, unfortunately, that has gone very, very badly. This has not gone well. Yeah, the this board does look pretty bad, to be fair. So wow, that is very, very impressive. I can't actually believe that it is broken again. Wow. This is crazy. It is really, really impressive, is this. I've literally never ever had a board just randomly brick on me like this. Not a single board at all. The PCB on this is very, very thin as well. I don't know if you can see now, you can't really see. But if you push on the PCB just a tiny bit, can you see how much it's flexing? It's really thin. So I bet when you've got a water block mounted on there with a decent amount of pressure, I bet it's bending the board a fair bit. I'm not over tightening that either, I'm doing it literally like 2-3 turns. Crazy. Right. This is very bad. Not gone well. What I'll do is I'll unplug everything, take everything out apart from the CPU. Right. Now in theory, should boot without a graphics card, should boot without a keyboard. 24 pin looks fine, pins inside the 24 pin look fine, but it is weird because it's definitely getting power because the stupid RGB lights are on, but nothing else is. How strange. Let's try to put this GPU back in. It's not even attempting to turn on, which is the most odd thing. When my previous one bricked, it didn't do this. Basically, you could turn it on and all the fans would spin up and everything, but it wouldn't like display anything or post. It would just literally sit there with the fans spinning round and round forever and ever. So we should drop the springs on the floor. We shall try again one last time to try and revive it, and if that doesn't work, then well, we've got a nice early end to the stream, because I actually don't have anything else of any interest to bench at the moment, to be honest. I was planning on doing some 3D benchmarks with Ryzen, possibly later on next week, and obviously test it with the B die, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore, and I've dropped one of these springs down here on the floor. Well, it is. So maybe it needs to be tighter. I don't know. Maybe we tightened it up too much. Maybe we didn't tighten it up enough. That's plenty of turns now. Plug it all back in. The mouse. Plug the RAM back in. We'll just try with a a single stick of RAM, although I doubt that's the issue. How odd. Right then. RGB lights are on. Power button. Nothing. Nothing at all. Terrible. Plug the power button directly into the board. That one. That is on the power switch. And again, nothing. It's not even a little adaptery thing. It's just completely dead. Not making a sound. Fan not spinning on the graphics card. 100% dead. There you have it. That is a dead board right there. Not even a spark. It's like it's getting no power whatsoever. How strange. Seems the BIOS isn't the only problem with these boards, maybe. What revision is this motherboard? Is it a Rev 1 or Rev 1.1 or even say? It says PCB made in China. Well, clearly Taiwan is better. So, I think we shall be returning this motherboard again. Although this isn't actually the same board as the first one that they repaired. This is a completely different brand spanking new board. And it does not have a revision number anywhere on it. So that is very disappointing. Well done, Asus. You have successfully failed to make an X370 board. On live stream, saw it was working perfectly fine a few minutes ago, or quite a few minutes ago now, as it would say. Yeah, won't even post. Water block not really over tightened. Haven't used it on phase. I insulated it. I haven't actually used it on phase. And to be honest, I don't think I'd want to if it can't even turn on. It's crazy. Right, that's it then. No more stream. You can all go and thank Asus for making a terrible motherboard. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Very, very impressive. Seems if you take the CPU out of your Ryzen motherboard and put a different one in, dead. That is it. 604 BIOS. Possibly bricked it. Not entirely sure. But I'm gonna guess the memory and CPU still work because they were working 5 minutes ago, and I'm gonna guess it's the motherboard. Reset all settings to default before I put the other CPU back in. Can't say it was that. Just a weird issue with a dead power button, and it definitely isn't these wires for the power button either, because I use a lot of boards on this test bench and I've never ever had one like randomly die twice on me like this. So that is literally the end of the stream, and I will not be doing any benching for the next few days. Actually, that's a lie. we will do some benching on 775 because I have a couple of boards. So yeah, we'll get some Pentiums out, or maybe some Core 2 Duos. Got a nice P5Q-E here, and we'll maybe do a live stream of that, some 2D benchmarks on socket 775. Possibly get some Xeons in there. Maybe tomorrow. What day is it tomorrow? Friday tomorrow. Yeah, we'll do another stream tomorrow probably. Maybe Saturday. So, yeah, I will be definitely returning the board. If anyone wants to know what board it is a Asus Prime X370 Pro. There you go. And there's the idiots who made it. So, it's funny, you know, because I was going to buy an ASRock board with my Ryzen 5 chip the other day. So, bit of a shame I didn't really, because then I would have had two boards. I was going to do a bit of a comparison, but I thought, yeah, do you know what, the Asus board on these recent BIOSes has been working pretty well. I'll wait till I get my B die, see if it can do 3200. If it can't do 3200, then I'll get the ASRock board, maybe an Asus Hero. But yeah, clearly this one's died again, so I'll be returning this. I'll probably order a new board sometime this weekend, but unfortunately it's not going to come until Tuesday or Wednesday next week. It's Easter bank holiday, so not many places will be open. So yeah, that is the end of this stream. I'll try taking the CMOS battery out actually, but I'm going to end the stream here. It's not very exciting for you guys. If it does for some reason decide to start working again, I will restart the stream, but it is quite unlikely. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it for a bit, nothing plugged in, see how it goes. But yeah, that is it for the stream. How boring. You've seen me run Cinebench on an 1800X 3 times, and that is it. Great. I'll see you in the next stream then. Yep. We'll do some 775 benching probably in the next couple of days. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and goodbye.